Alright, hey everyone, this is Nate and this is the Nader Tater channel. Today I have the Sunseeker X7 robotic mower. Now they say this can do about 3/4 of an acre of cutting. I have a lot larger of a yard than that, but I do have segments that I have it set up to do this side back behind me and the area that I'm in right here as well. So I've been testing this for over 3 weeks now to make sure I've been giving it a good run to see how it performs over a long amount of time, see how hard it was to set up, and then compare it versus I have about a dozen other mowers I've been testing as well. So I'm going to really focus in on this Sunseeker X7 to show you what I found about it so far. Now it has some features I really like that are different than other robotic mowers, but then it also has some downsides I want to cover as well. So let me kind of walk you through those different things and show you how it performed. Now the setup I have right over here by this other robotic mower, it is simple to set up just like all the other mowers, quite frankly. You just set the charging pad out there. You do need to follow the rules as far as how far away from building. I think I'm actually maybe not quite abiding by them by having it that close to the building, but it does seem to work there. I did have to put the RTK sensor further down over here where I have power out more in the middle of the yard area, so I had a clearer view of the sky. I couldn't put it right here by the building, because not only do I have the building, but I have a big tree here as well, so it did not like that, and that's fair. I have the other ones out in the open as well. But what that does mean is that you do need to have power and network, so Wi-Fi connection wherever you want to put both the mower and the RTK sensor. The RTK sensor is on a separate power. Some of the other mowers, the only thing I'll comment about the mower setup is some of the other mowers allow the RTK to plug into the base. So if you could put it by your base, you only need one power port. But with the way the Sunseeker one is, you definitely need two outlet plugs, one for the mower charging base and one for the RTK sensor. So the RTK sensor provides you a local high precision GPS reference point for your property, and that's how they're able to make this be very precise as it drives. So in addition to having the RTK GPS, it also has a couple cameras out front that it uses for vision, and it has, you know, quote unquote AI capability to detect stuff. And then in addition to the cameras, it does have a bumper that has sensors on it. I'll talk about that more in the future, but you can see it actually has kind of like 3 different pieces of bumper that kind of attached there on the back side. I don't think it has any specific sensors or whatnot there. All right, so if I flip it over, there's a couple things you'll notice. One is that it does have a couple features I do like. It does actually have kind of pivoting axles here that help a little bit with fallen terrain. The Luba has that too on its front axle. These ones are not spring loaded, they're just kind of free floating, but it still helps a little bit to navigate uneven surfaces. The big thing here is this caster wheel is not actually a caster. It is driven for both steering and for rotating, so it is all-wheel drive, and I actually like this mix of powered and steered, because the big tracks, the Luba, it does actually tear up the ground, or can tear up the ground. But then the ones that have just 2 driven wheels and they have just free floating casters up front, those do have steering issues sometimes, where they can't stay on the hill, going cross slope and that kind of stuff. So this is actually a pretty good solution. I do like that it gives it the stability of all wheels, but then it also is very gentle on the grass because it's able to pivot, because it turns this as it drives. So I thought that was pretty good. The 2 cutting discs, these are pretty standard for all these mowers. They have these little razor blades on them. I think it's a 14-inch cutting width. It all looks fine. You can see obviously I've been using it. Yes, a little bit of grass sticks up. I cut when it was wet, and so it's actually still wet, stuck underneath here, but it handles that just fine. The front bumper, I did have a problem with it one time actually, where on these chairs it ran into those chairs. I didn't make them as a no-go zone. I thought it would see them, but it didn't, and it knocked the chair over, and then it actually popped the bumper out of it. It has like a rubber grommet. It popped it out. So it took me a little while to figure that one out, because it kept saying the bumper was pressed and wouldn't keep driving. So I had to pop that back in. It did not break anything, but I feel like this front bumper is maybe susceptible to getting bent or broken. It's not super sturdy feeling. Let's go ahead and start. I did the setup. It took me about half hour, so fairly quick. All right, so now I'm going to start this mapping process. It says, hey, I need to connect an antenna first. So let me say connect to it. It found that antenna that's plugged in there. Telling it to go ahead and pair. I can see what color the lights are on it. They're all green, so I think that means it's good enough connection here, even though I don't have a good view of the sky. You can see I'm right beside the building, and then you can see I have a tree by it as well. So that gives you an idea of the location that it's in. It is not following the rules. I should be able to do start mapping. Yep. Now it tells me to make a work area, and then I can add in a no-go zones, and it tells you, of course, have your lawn cut. I think below 4 inches is what they typically say, and then you want to also have it clear as you can without you know, toys or stuff in the yard. All right, so I guess that's its default distance that it moves away from the station. That's probably where it will normally go, and then it'll look for the kind of the QR code type thing on the top of the station. All right, so I'm going to hit play here, and we're going to do a work zone. Yes, confirm. All right, so it's showing you here that you can do a couple features. Some of these are actually I really like because they allow you to, one, they have an AI automatic mapping. I've never found them to be good, especially when my yard's kind of complex. But they also allow you to do AI and then adjust it later. You can also do a straightening function, which if you're going straight down a path, you can hit the straightening function. I guess it helps make the line straight, which is handy because some of these robots you kind of go in a zigzag. You don't really want to keep that zigzag pattern. And then later you can modify the map. All right, so right now here it's showing me that all of my things are poor other than the robot to the RTK is saying that the robot to Wi-Fi is poor. It's saying that the Wi-Fi to the antenna is poor. It's saying that the satellite to the robot is poor, and the satellite to the antenna is poor. So it's not very happy with any of my stuff right now. All right, so I'm going to start mapping here. I've done the firmware update on it. So let me go ahead and get going here. All right, so now it's leaving the station. This is probably a default amount that it backs up every time. So I'm just going to pick my starting point here by a pine cone or something I can remember. I'm going to hit play, tell it a work zone. Yep, I'll have to make sure I do everything correctly. I can update it. I can do AI mapping if it's simple, which never seems to work for mine, for any of the mowers that I've had. So I'm not even going to try it. I'm just going to manually map it, and then you can go back later and modify it. So it has something called a boundary straightening function, which should help for things like along this building if I want to make it straight. So let me see if I can just use that. Is it on a boundary? Yes. And then it looks like this is a straight line on the left here in the AI. So let me just drive along it. See what happens if I hit that straight line button. All right, so now I just made a straight line for me. Now I'm going to curve around this stuff here. Oh, I'm still in a straight line. We'll leave that straight line there. So for me, on places like this, I can run over the concrete because it's level with the grass, and that way I make sure I get all of the grass cut. So I just run over the edge. And here's another great place for probably a straight line where I can just do a straight line. All right, so this thing is not fast for mapping, and it's kind of hard to keep it perfectly straight. So that's why the straight line actually helps out a lot. All right, so I'm going to end back up here at the same spot I started. I'm going to hit the stop, tell it to confirm the mapping. So now it's updating the data. We can zoom out, hopefully, yep, and we can see the area that I just did. So now this is the first area, and now I have a couple trees in here that I want to take out. So I'm going to add a place for those. So I'm going to hit the plus sign again, but this I'm going to hit a no-go zone. Okay, so we'll see how smart this AI is to map this yard here. It is all surrounded by either concrete, landscape edging, or driveway. There are some hard areas like here where you have a undefined grass to pine cone and pine straw border. All right, I thought it said it did it clockwise, but maybe it does it the other way. So let me go ahead and flip it around. Now it's on the right side, and we'll see what this thing does. So I was trying to figure out where that pine straw ends and the grass begins, which is a very hard task right there because it's not very clear. But we'll just see what it does here. The rest of the zone should be much easier for it to pick out. So I'm not sure what it's doing. It looks like it got lost. It switched over onto the concrete and now it can't figure out how to get back, I think. So I'm gonna go ahead and do manual control here and see if I can maybe save it. I don't know how to restart the mapping or not. I think I'm just gonna restart it because it's not worth trying to fight over. All right, well, here it is doing its first cut for me along this side yard. So we will let it go here. It's just cutting the correct amount for a robot mower, which is just maintenance. So I've already cut this probably a day or two ago with another robot mower. Now it's just going off and trimming off, you know, 1/4 inch or so here. Now it shows you on the screen that it might take about 429 minutes for this area. So we'll see how long it actually takes and how good of a job it does. All right, so it told me it got stuck. I thought it was actually going to be this hole, which is a drain, and I've had mowers get stuck in here, so I throw a rock down there so it gives them something to go on. But actually, it was stuck here on the fence. So this is the first one, and lo and behold, it did hook itself on the chain link fence here. So that's how this one got stuck. It didn't notice it at least, but I have to come out here and save it. Okay, well, let me show you the app, how this works. Now you can see here, all the dark green is where it's already mowed. That's because I've had it set up on a schedule. So that's where probably most people are going to run it. For this one, you can see I just mapped these two areas. It shows you there it's what, 1,900 square meters, which I think is a little under ½ acre or something of total space. I only really put one no-go zone in here, and that was one of the big tree areas. The rest of it, I wanted to see how it could figure out driving around trees or little wellheads and obstacles in the yard. And overall, it did pretty well on that aspect. All right, then you can see there the Bluetooth is dark. That means I'm close enough to actually be connected to it directly. The RTK, this is actually probably one of my favorite features of this mower, and I don't know why more of the mowers don't have it. It actually, as it goes through mowing, is doing a heat map of your RTK signal, which just makes a lot of sense to me because you'll find that you have places where it acts up or whatnot, and this can help you pinpoint where those are to either do some changes or perhaps even relocate your RTK. When you do that, you do have to remap, I believe, so you don't want to be moving it around typically. But you can see here I have a couple red zones where it shows that it has poor RTK sensor. It still performs in this, so as long as you don't have big areas, it's okay. And if I pull up from the bottom here, you can see this is now a map overlay of where I'm at, and I can use this keypad to actually change the cutting height, turn the cutter on and off, and move the mower around, driving around. You can see you have settings for both global and for zone. So global would mean all your zones, and just zones would mean obviously it's just your specific zone that you want to pick. So if I can pick this one zone, it's going to say, okay, what type of layout do you want? How much cut spacing do you want between each line? How fast to travel? The cutting direction you can change here. So the standard, I think, is going to pick what it thinks is most optimal. But if you want to change that, then you can go in here and change it and do a custom direction as well. So if I go back here to the global settings, you can see you have the same thing there, and then you can see down further you have the edge cutting frequency. I don't know why you would not want to do the edge every time, but here it allows you to adjust that. You can have it stop cutting when there's rain. You can have a delay based off when the rain dries. So basically on the back of the unit is a little rain sensor, just detects water. You can have it to work on the nighttime or not nighttime. AI recognition sensitivity, this is if you want it to how good sensitivity it has for object detection, and then object avoidance as well. And then here's the schedule that you can change. So this is what you can set up, and again you can set up globally or by zone. So if you want to do zones on specific days, you can do that here. It's fairly straightforward. You just click edit, and you can go into here, select a start time and end time. You can have a couple of them on a day, and you just save that and it will automatically cut for you. Now if I go to more settings here, I can get my device information, my antenna information, or I can see firmware and whatnot. I can see the signal. It shows there's satellite signal strong. Time zone setting, Wi-Fi, you can obviously pick Wi-Fi. Energy saving mode, I think just turns it off. It turns off the LEDs, the lights on it. All right, tracking, I think is if you have a SIM card tracking thing. I don't have that in mind. And then firmware update, here it will automatically do firmware updates. It did get a lot of those. I did have some problems with firmware updates where it would not work. It would just keep trying. So I would just keep trying. Sometimes I had to try 5, 6 or more times to get it to actually update the firmware. But eventually it did work and held, so I was able to keep it updated to the latest setting. Now, if I look at how it cuts, it's kind of sporadic. Now this one, like I said, it's already done, so maybe it's not very clear, you can't tell, but when it's going through the cutting process, it is not consistently from like left side to right side. It will do an area, kind of go somewhere else, it'll come back, and what it means is that it doesn't really have any strong lines that it draws out, even though you can see these are all kind of this way. If you get around the perimeter, it doesn't do a strong like perimeter pass that I think most of the other mowers do. This one does it all zigzag, and so there's a chance it leaves a bigger space on the edge of the lawn than I've seen on some of the other ones. And then even though here it shows that it's cut this area, there are definitely areas where I feel like it did not cut the grass very well, and there's some of these areas here that it just went over even after I cut it several times. Now I will say I've had it cut a few times, and it appears that it's getting better at picking up those spots that it did not cut in the past. So I don't know if it is doing some learning over time to get better at it, but that's just something I noticed. All right, so overall for the unit, I think it costs about $2,700 for MSRP. They do have it on sale often, so you can get it for a little bit cheaper. I do have a link down in the video description if you want to see more about it, or see what the current price is. But overall, I'm actually a little struggling with this one on far as if I would recommend it based off of the price point. As far as a mower for a smaller yard, it is something that does work. The mapping was painfully slow on it. That was a big issue. It by far is the slowest one for me to drive and hold on my hand on the phone to make it do it. I tried the AI auto learn, but my yard just too complex to do that, so it would not work correctly. And overall, I think it feels like it wears out faster than other ones. I mean, just like the bumper getting stuck on stuff and bumping into things, and the way it drives, I like the drive configuration, all-wheel drive, but with it having the steered in the rear, it does swing out its tail a lot and hit stuff. You can just see it where it scratches up against things. And then it has low ground clearance, and I kind of struggled with its logic on where it decides to cut and not cut, where it doesn't leave a nice clean design or seem to do things in order. So I think they have some stuff that's probably more software based, but also the materials itself on it, you got to be careful where you can pick it up. I've actually popped off some of the casing on it, because you're not supposed to pick it up over here. There is a handle for you to pick it up on it, but even then I kind of struggle a little bit with it. So to me, there are other options that are out there that are in the same price point and that I feel like are probably a more polished product that's available. So check out my channel for other videos of robot mowers, bigger comparison, to get the latest information that I have out there on mowers. So thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.